Johnny Cash stood as a towering figure in the realm of American music, an emblem of grit, faith, and contradiction, who forever altered the landscape of country, gospel, and rock. Yet behind that iconic black attire and the deep, haunting vocals lay a life marked by struggle and triumph, a tale of resilience forged in the fires of heartbreak. Today we explore the remarkable journey of the Man in Black, the legendary rise and turbulent fall of Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash, affectionately known as the Man in Black, was born on February 26, 1932, in Kingsland, Arkansas. His baritone voice and raw, bare-bones style would eventually upend musical boundaries, but the seeds of that passion were planted in the cotton fields where he labored as a young boy. He was the fourth of 7 siblings in a tight-knit family, scraping by as cotton farmers during the crippling years of the Great Depression. From morning light to sundown, every member of the family pitched in. Despite the hardship, they found solace in gospel hymns, sung at home and in church, a spiritual bedrock that forged Johnny's unshakable faith. Among his siblings, Jack stood out as both an idol and moral guide for the young John. Jack's gentle nature, deep reverence for religion, and unwavering sense of duty cast a bright glow on those around him. He dreamed of someday becoming a preacher, a dream that fueled his devotion. Johnny, drawn to Jack's spiritual zeal and heartfelt goodness, often spoke of his older brother in glowing terms, crediting him as the moral compass of their family. But the road was not lined with blessings. In May 1944, when Johnny was only 12, tragedy struck. Jack went to work at a local sawmill, determined to help the family earn extra wages. He was gravely injured by an industrial saw, suffering fatal wounds. For days, he clung to life, describing visions of heaven and angels, leaving his family desperate for a miracle. Johnny's mother often recalled those final moments, believing Jack's passing carried divine meaning, some kind of trial or sign. Devastated and grappling with loss and guilt, Johnny questioned how such a devout, caring soul could be taken at such a tender age. This sorrow, coupled with deep reflection on moral consequence, later surfaced in his music, guiding him toward themes of sin, forgiveness, and redemption. Throughout his life, Cash attributed much of his spiritual perspective to Jack. That horrible accident and the anguish that followed molded Johnny's empathy for the downtrodden. His heartbreak became the crucible in which his art was formed, imbuing his songs with a longing for something sacred, a quest to find grace in the most barren corners of the human condition. In 1950, at the age of 18, Johnny enlisted in the Air Force, seeking a path out of rural poverty. Stationed in Germany, he spent his off-duty hours strumming the guitar, penning letters to loved ones, and practicing his songwriting. Despite the isolation, those years honed his craft. He found solace in music, sketching melodic ideas that would foreshadow his future success. Upon returning to the United States in 1954, Cash settled in Memphis, Tennessee. By day, he sold appliances door to door. By night, he gathered with guitarist Luther Perkins and bassist Marshall Grant to pursue his true calling, making music. Initially focusing on gospel, Johnny yearned to sign with Sun Records, the label known for catapulting talents like Elvis Presley into stardom. His first audition wasn't an instant triumph. Sun Records was moving away from gospel music. Undeterred, Cash returned with new material, a fusion of rockabilly edge and earthy country sound. Producer Sam Phillips took a chance on him, and in 1955, Johnny Cash released his first singles, Hey Porter and Cry, Cry, Cry. From there, his ascent accelerated. In 1956, a fateful jam session brought Elvis Presley, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Johnny Cash together at Sun Records, an impromptu collaboration later nicknamed the $1 Million Quartet. Cash's breakout hits, Folsom Prison Blues and I Walk the Line, catapulted him to the forefront of country music, earning him chart-topping success and a devoted fan base. Tensions with Sun Records soon emerged over creative freedom and financial disagreements. Feeling undervalued and overshadowed, Cash left for Columbia Records in 1958, igniting a new chapter. His first single with Columbia, Don't Take Your Guns to Town, became a smash hit, signaling that Johnny was determined to explore the full range of his musical desires, including gospel projects that Sun had dismissed. As his popularity soared, the unrelenting tours and punishing schedule took their toll. The euphoria of standing ovations and sold-out venues masked a private conflict. The pressures of stardom were slowly eroding Johnny's health and spirit. Like many performers of that era, Cash began relying on pharmaceutical stimulants to stay awake and energetic on stage. But this quick fix soon morphed into a crippling dependence. His once bright home life dimmed under the chaos, driving a wedge between him and his first wife, Vivian Liberto, whom he married in 1954. Vivian shouldered the emotional burden of caring for their 4 daughters, Roseanne, Kathy, Cindy, and Tara, while Johnny spent long stretches away from home. Late-night shows, infidelities, and escalating substance use twisted their marriage into a coil of heartbreak, as Vivian struggled to maintain normalcy while Johnny sank further into unpredictable behavior. In 1965, Cash was arrested near El Paso, Texas, for attempting to smuggle amphetamines across the border. Although he avoided major jail time, the incident tarnished his public image. His erratic conduct even extended to the Grand Ole Opry, where, high and impulsive, he smashed stage lights with a microphone stand, resulting in a temporary ban from the historic venue. Despite his self-sabotage, Cash continued crafting music that bore the imprint of his inner turmoil. Songs like Ring of Fire and Sunday Morning Coming Down were drenched in spiritual yearning and moral reflection, bridging the gap between personal frailty and universal human truths. In the midst of the storm, an unlikely lifeline emerged. June Carter, a member of the famed Carter family. Johnny had met her backstage at the Grand Ole Opry in the 1950s, and over time, mutual admiration grew. June became the pillar that steadied his spiraling existence, co-written Ring of Fire and encouraging him to battle his demons. By 1967, after a near-fatal overdose, the Carter family staged an intervention. June's unconditional love and refusal to walk away compelled Johnny to confront his addiction. He vowed to change, taking the first steps towards sobriety. Their marriage in 1968 signaled not just a union of 2 artists, but the beginning of Cash's climb out of darkness. Though he relapsed at times, June's steadfastness never wavered. Together, they crafted a love story that, for many, served as proof that grace can indeed prevail over even the fiercest inner battles. Among the most lauded chapters of Johnny Cash's legend are his prison performances. Raw, electrifying concerts that offered hope to those society often left behind. Although Cash never served hard time, his own brushes with the law and his deep empathy made him a kindred spirit to those behind bars. Wholesome Prison Blues, written after he watched a documentary about the California institution, foreshadowed his fascination with prison life. Letters from inmates poured in, urging him to visit. Finally, on January 13, 1968, Johnny Cash walked into Folsom State Prison, accompanied by the Tennessee Three and June Carter, determined to perform for men whose voices rarely reached the outside world. That day, tension buzzed in the air. Inmates, guards, and staff braced for a performance that broke the mold. When Cash strummed the opening chords of Folsom Prison Blues, the men erupted, not in polite applause, but in raw, thunderous gratitude. The live recording captured unvarnished shouts, laughter, and cheers, giving birth to the landmark album At Folsom Prison. Buoyed by its success, Cash took his prison outreach to San Quentin the following year, resulting in another triumphant live album, At San Quentin. There, he debuted A Boy Named Sue, a tongue-in-cheek ballad that soared up the charts. True to form, he openly addressed the guards while extending genuine care to the inmates. These prison concerts transcended mere musical performances. They served as social commentary, shining a spotlight on the humanity of a population often relegated to shadows. Cash spoke about rehabilitation and advocated for a system that restored dignity rather than perpetually punishing. His sincerity resonated with many, demonstrating that second chances weren't an abstract ideal, but a tangible possibility. For the inmates, seeing Johnny Cash, a global star, validate their existence on stage offered a flicker of hope and renewed purpose. These events also rejuvenated his career, reminding the public of his unique ability to meld conviction, empathy, and showmanship. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, Johnny Cash's image had evolved into that of a cultural force, a country star who bridged genres and championed social issues. Although his personal life continued to grapple with setbacks and battles with dependency, his bond with June Carter acted as a steadfast anchor. Fast forward to 1997 in New York City, when a serious health crisis disrupted his schedule. Initially misdiagnosed with Parkinson's disease after nearly collapsing on stage in Michigan, Cash later received a revised diagnosis of Shy-Drager syndrome, suggesting he had a mere 18 months to live. Eventually, the label changed once more to autonomic neuropathy, tied to his chronic diabetes. This barrage of diagnoses forced Cash to pare down his touring schedule. In 1998, he was hospitalized with severe pneumonia, further compromising his already fragile life. Still, he refused to let illness extinguish his passion for music. In the 2000s, Cash embarked on a final burst of creativity, collaborating once again with producer Rick Rubin. The result was the American series of albums, American 3, Solitary Man, 2002, The American 3, The Man Comes Around, 2002. These records brimmed with vulnerability and experimentation. He even recast modern rock songs like 9 Inch Nails' Hurt, delivering a haunting rendition that deeply moved even its original composer, Trent Reznor. In the video for Hurt, images of Cash's frailty intercut with footage from his robust past, weaving an emotional tapestry of a life lived large and resilience. And that's to the recreation. Then, in May 2003, another wave of heartbreak arrived. June Carter Cash, his lifelong partner and muse, passed away at 73. Devastated but resolute, Johnny pressed on, knowing that June would have wanted him to keep creating. In a 4-month span, he recorded over 60 songs, his voice echoing with fresh layers of sorrow and faith. Even confined to a wheelchair, he recorded in his home studio, channeling heartbreak into art. His final public performance took place on July 5, 2003, when he introduced Ring of Fire with an emotional tribute to June. Though he looked frail and tired, the devotion in his voice was unflinching. Each note pulsed with memories of shared love, battles fought, and the grace he had chased from the cotton fields of his youth to the world's biggest stages. On September 12, 2003, just months after June's passing, Johnny Cash died from complications related to diabetes at the age of 71. Fans from every corner of the globe mourned the loss of a man who had woven his heartbreak into ballads that spoke to every sorrowing heart. His funeral services were held in Hendersonville, Tennessee, where he was laid to rest beside June, forever united beyond life's final curtain. In his final years, riddled with illness and longing, Johnny Cash proved that authenticity can lay bare the human soul. His voice, rich with time and trials, carried the echoes of a young boy in an Arkansas cotton field, singing gospel songs while longing for his lost brother. He never claimed sainthood. Instead, he chronicled imperfection and spiritual hunger in lyrics that resonate as deeply today as they did in his time. His music transcended country, drawing in rock, folk, and gospel fans alike, each captivated by the thunder of his baritone and the honesty in his words. Even in death, Johnny Cash stands as a beacon of redemption, embodying the idea that no matter how deep one falls, there is always a path to renewal. His love for June Carter, his empathy for outcasts, and his unwavering faith in forgiveness continue to bind him to countless admirers who find solace in the knowledge that a broken spirit can still make a joyful noise. His prison performances revolutionized how audiences viewed live albums and the humanity of those behind bars. His battles with addiction shed light on the complexities of stardom and personal reckoning, while his late-in-life covers testified that a great song knows no genre bounds. The Man in Black will always inhabit a realm where vulnerability meets rebellion, He sang about criminals and the faithful, the dreamers and the lost, the glory and the suffering that define our shared humanity. In the end, Johnny Cash was more than just a performer. He was a living testament to transformation, a man unafraid to step back on stage no matter how battered his heart or soul. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this story, hit the like button, subscribe, and stick around for the next video that pops up on your screen. There's always another chapter to uncover, and like Johnny Cash, we can keep on singing through every trial we face.